Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about Blackmagic PYXIS 6K. So let's dive deep into it. So this is PYXIS 6K. Now, if you want a short review of it, think of it this way. They took 6K full frame Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera and basically repackaged it into this puppy, a box camera. That's it. So this is the Blackmagic's first box style camera. Now, why it is such a big deal? Majority of people were very fed up with that weird design where the camera was neither too small nor properly riggable like a cinema camera. So it was neither here nor there. It was like very weird body where they're like just making it huge for this, like just because there was no logic or reason behind it. Like the first pocket cinema camera that was genuinely small, so it was like, okay, it's a pocket cinema camera. Now it was like, it's a this big camera, but it's not big enough where you can properly rig it, and not small enough where you can call it pocket. So this is like people's request, hey, at least focus on one domain and make it useful. So this is the whole idea. You rig what you need to add and we're gonna give you a box. So this is the whole point. 6K full frame, like as in proper full frame system, and you can go up to, if you open gate it as in like shoot full resolution out of it, you're gonna get up to 36 frame per second, and if you do full HD, you're gonna get a 120 FPS, and yeah, that will be cropped. Yes, that's why I said, like, the technology wise, it has not changed, not upgraded, nor improved. Is same. 12-bit raw files are there, and one good thing is there that if you buy this like as a student and all that, the price is kind of low, because nowadays even basic mirrorless are costing way too much. $3,000, $4,000 is obvious now. So this is $3,000 or 2,88,000 rupees in Indian case. So surprisingly cheap. But with that, not only you get the ability to shoot raw, but you also get the ability of DaVinci Resolve Studio. That is a very desirable thing. You're gonna get a full pro grade software. Even if you do basically editing in Premiere, many people still use DaVinci for color correction work. So having a raw file and a tool that is professionally used for color correction, properly licensed and all that, that is a good thing. So from a financial point of view, it does make sense. So what about the specs of this puppy? Well, specs is nothing that grand. It's like 60/48 multiplied by 25/20 or 6K. If you shoot it in cinematic ratio, as in 2.4:1 ratio, you're gonna get up to 60 FPS. But it only goes below that after that. Meaning, if you make it a larger format or squished format or things of that nature, it's gonna FPS is really not very encouraging. Let's just be real about that. 13 stops of dynamic range. You're like, wait a minute, isn't that low even compared to mirrorless? Yes and no. Yes, it's not the latest and greatest, but you have to understand, you have the benefit of raw file here. So your actual useful output is useful. It's good. And be mindful of anything once you start to exceed 10, 11, it's like you have to design your scene properly for it, because be mindful, we used to shoot in negatives. They did not had that much dynamic range. They were good at highlights, but they were really bad at low lights. So we compensated, we adjusted the scene. That's why cinema industry is such a light focused nature to it. Like, they knew from early days, like, you have to adjust your scene according to it. People still shoot in negative sometimes, people still shoot in positive, that has even less dynamic range. So 13 stops of dynamic range while you have the raw file, it's not an issue. They will give you 3 options that you have to choose while you are buying the camera. So you can buy L mount, which is their native, the cheapest option. Then you can buy an EF locking mount option, which is the second most expensive one. Then you have PL mount, which is a cinema grade lens locking mount alliance. That is expensive puppy. But these 3 are available. Now, can you swap the mounts? In principle, it should be doable, but they have not made any announcement that this can be done. Or you can just, let's say you bought for EF mount and then you upgrade it to L mount, you can't upgrade it. So far, they have not, Blackmagic has not made it clear. It should be doable, but they have not made it do so. Now, battery was another big complaint, because they wanted to put the battery in the body. Battery was very tiny and it was draining way too quickly. So they are using BPU series battery, again Sony camcorder batteries, if you want to think that. Yeah, these batteries are ludicrously popular. Sony Handycam was very successful, and that battery was like used for way too many other things. So that became almost an independent entity now. So the benefit is, because the backside is open, you can have a very slim one, big one, even bigger one, really big one. So that's why people prefer this sort of battery for light setups and cameras. It is basically one step below V-mount batteries, T-mount batteries and things of that nature, but one step above in-body batteries. So this is a very good upgrade for this sort of price range. And they call this their whole ecosystem. Basically, this is one good thing about Blackmagic, that I have to genuinely say that they do know how to make touchscreen interface. It's like somebody actually thinks about like, hey, how big is a human finger? How can I touch the menus? Like, you look into Sony's menu, the numbers, the tiny numbers, it's like a human fingers, it's like smaller than that. Like, how would anybody supposed to touch it? So the interface, they call it Blackmagic OS, is genuinely good, and the UI is really desirable. So that is one thing that many people love about Blackmagic. Whether remove the quality is subjective. At this sort of class range, you are talking about subjective feeling. So quality is subjective, but in terms of like raw usability, is genuinely well built. And it has dual native ISO, so you have 400 ISO for daytime shooting and nighttime 3200 ISO. It's nothing groundbreaking, but main benefit is that you have better battery now and 3 lens mount, which you can select at the time of purchase. These are the main upgrades. And of course, you also have 12 volt DC power option. What about the media? This is the biggest upgrade. They have proper dual CFast Express Type B slots. Now be mindful, I have looked through their website, I have looked through PDF. They have not mentioned that it can actually do redundant recording. I'm not sure about that, and this does make me uncomfortable, but it does make sense. It should be able to do redundant recording, and like that's the whole point of having two of similar size of cards, because again, if you are shooting anything that requires a lot of setup, especially anything that has practical effects and practical booms and all that, yeah, you can't just do retake. For that reason, redundant recording is very desirable. So I do find it odd if they have dual card slot and do not have redundant. They were talking about that it has relay recording, meaning you can let one fill up and then swap the second card, then replace the second card, then let it start to fill up and then change the second card. That's a relay recording. But who does relay recording with 13-bit raw file, 12-bit raw file? Like a relay recording on that level is like, damn. So I do not say, I truly hope that they have redundancy recording, but that being aside, remove the redundancy part, at least this media is really good. Now, thankfully, CFast Express was made by Sony, as in like Sony made the XQD, which was NVMe SSD into a package. Then they went in marriage with Compact Flash Association, because Compact Flash Association, they made a card. It was not very successful, only was used in like some cameras, but they rebranded the XQD into Compact Flash Type B. Then they had made a smaller one and they had a bigger one. I have not seen the bigger one yet. There is Type A, Type B and Type C. Type C is a quad link system. This is a dual link system. What Sony uses in their mirrorless is a single link system, as in like PCI lane wise. So Type B was used by a lot of brands: Nikon, Panasonic, Canon, Fuji, and Red also uses it. Sony's Pro line uses it. So lot of users are there. Benefit, lot of demand. Benefit, lot of supply. Now the price per gigabyte for this speed of cards is awesome. So this is really good option. I'm happy that this is happening, because SD card, we have reached its upper limit. SD card just is not fast enough. You need to go from SD bus link to NVMe SSD. This is NVMe SSD. So if you have to choose it, this is really good option. I'm just very angry that Sony made it and they did not use this. They're like, oh, we're gonna make a random garbage Type A. It's like, dude, everybody is using it. Just use it. It would be so much cheaper. But that being aside, even this is not free. So if you want even cheaper than that, you can utilize USB-C SSD. Now be mindful, SSD you have to use. You cannot put a mechanical hard drive. And not only it will draw a lot of power, but it requires at least 350 megabytes of write speed continuously. SSD can sustain it, your hard drive cannot. So do not have a spinning hard drive here. This is one good thing about Blackmagic and Panasonic. They do support this sort of edge use case, and this is far more logical. If you're buying something this cheap, you cannot spend the same amount of money on the card. So this is a really good and logical option. And nowadays, these drives have come down in price a lot. So you can write file into it at 5 Gbps, as in the bus speed is 5 Gbps, while the SSD itself could be capable of 20 Gbps, meaning when you are dumping the file, it could be dumped very quickly. Very quickly. Like you can record and then dump very quickly. It would be really useful. And we are talking about large file sizes, 380 or almost, like, of course you want to design it in buffer way. So let's say 400 megabytes per second. That's bonkersly high. It also creates a proxy file that is H264, but it's full HD and 8-bit only. So it's mainly for editing. Do not expect to use it for like color grading and all that. It's just preview, so to say. And it has 1 Gbps Ethernet, so you can hardwire it if you need to, or you can utilize your phone as a dongle, meaning you connect your phone, you utilize the app, shine in into Blackmagic system, and you can slowly dump the file. So if you have 4G phone or 5G high-speed phone, you should be able to do this. But I'm curious about it, like who the hell has a network that is fast enough where you can dump that kind of data, and like what kind of package you have to pay for it. I'm curious about that. So that is there, and it does have inbuilt SRT and RTMP. Basically, if you are working with YouTubes and Twitch and all that, you can directly live stream also. That's some serious setup for this. So media wise is really good. I really love the fact that they have SSD properly supported and logical card slots. That's awesome. And using your mobile phone as a basically a dongle, fancy dongle, that's also useful use. However, this camera is very weird. So you have to understand, whenever somebody is designing something, it has to fit into multiple boxes. As in, like, if this is costing this much, expect other things to fall in line. For example, if you're talking about a low-cost camera, people who buy low-cost camera generally do not have servers in their household where they can dump all the files for it. There could be, of course, there would be some niche case scenarios, but not majority of people. So having only Blackmagic raw files, let us be very clear. Does it have raw file? Yes. Is it good? Awesome. But here's the deal. Why only raw? Like, because here's the deal, you can still record a very quality footage at 10 bits of depth, or you can use ProRes. It's a bit more compressed and all that. So having locked to raw only, that's awesome. Like, you have full capability, that's awesome. But here's the deal, having something less demanding would be desirable for this sort of price range. Not having that, okay, let's say that you are only focusing on a cinema student or people who are willing to go through all the hassle. Okay, that's one thing. It does not have autofocus, so I can understand that. But I have linked a video down below that is the interview between the individual, and they were talking about like why the heck your screens are so stupid. It's like this time you had a screen that is huge, clear, bright, awesome, but it did not have flip up or flip at the side. People were modifying this puppy to flip up. It was that egregious. Like, everybody was begging them, dude, like if you're talking about small studios, many times people would want it to watch themselves, and again, having the ability to angle it, it's actually desirable. You can shade it properly. But no, Blackmagic is like, we're gonna bolt it because yeah. But okay, this time again, people flat out, the interviewer flat out, like, why you do not have a proper flip out screen? You have spent so much money on a 4-inch full HD high brightness 1500 nit brightness display. Why the heck you did not put it a proper video screen, like properly flip it out, rotate and all that? It's like, yeah, we wanted to achieve a size. What kind of stupid answer is that? It's like, is it a pocket camera? Is it an action camera? It's like, it's neither small nor big. It's the same mistake as this one. It's like, it's neither here nor there. It's like, if you would have added length, let's say 1 inch of extra length, everybody willingly would be happy with this. Oh, you have a very high quality, expensive screen. How about we use it? And here's the you compare the same philosophy with Red. So Red knew for a fact that if they're gonna put a screen, the best place to put it is on top. Why on top? Because here's the deal, most of the time you're gonna have handle on both sides. So at top you can still see. If you're doing it waist level shooting, again you can see it. And they know for a fact they cannot put a quality screen on that size. So they're like, hey, this screen is just for your basic user interface. And if you connect a proper Red monitor to it, all the control interface would be replicated into that system. They are like, what if you have the side screen and you cannot, let this be very clear, cannot replicate the controller scheme on the different display? You have to interact with this camera on the side. Why? And you're like, that's how the professionals do it. Here's the deal, if professionals can afford an individual for a focus pulling job, they can afford better camera than this. So this really makes no sense. This is like, they had a team meeting and wrong person got the upvote. Whereas like, dude, oh no, it has to be this size. It's like, to just add 1 inch to it, have a proper flip out. That would have been awesome. But no. And again, that same thing was with EV also, because when you are talking about something this low cost, you are expecting people to expect in terms of feature set, not in quality, in features. Because again, if people are like, hey, I want quality, buy Alexa, buy RE, or buy their Blackmagic's next lineup that is 12K resolution and much higher fidelity. You have that option. It's like quality is the most expensive part, but again, when you are talking about low price, people are talking about like more usability, more versatility. It's like that flip out screen. Now you are forcing everybody either to buy a very expensive viewfinder or buy a very expensive secondary system unnecessarily. This was better in comparison. So that is a really bad design decision. It's like this time, okay, every time either you're gonna be on the back end of it, okay, you got something. People were modifying it to put a flip up screen. That's a different thing. But this design was really stupid. It's like we had to have the touch interface. You need a screen, so we put a good screen. It's like good screen that is in a worst place is useless screen. So this is the whole point. It's not a drone camera. It's not a micro camera. Why? It's like, were they comparing against Panasonic's box camera? It's like, why? So who is this for? Because that's the whole point. If it's so hard to use that you have to buy this and that and this and that, then people will be like, might as well I buy a very higher end system. So focus puller. And this another aspect that I hate a whole camera industry. So far nobody has figured out that you should have just USB audio input. Just like cut the BS, just put USB audio. Somehow action cameras figured it out that you can just put USB audio in. But it's like, what if we have an analog to digital converter? What if you don't? What if you don't? What if you just use USB? Heck, use 32-bit float USB. It can be done. It can be done over USB 2.0. It does not even require USB 3. So not having that inbuilt ND. Again, everything they had, like we had to have it this small. Why? Why? It's like you do not make it, like it's neither here nor there. It's like it's the same design mistake as the last one. Like this would have been awesome if I can guarantee you this would have sold at least 2x more if they had a proper flip up screen or flip out screen. Here this is like more than enough. Like, dude, I have to use this display because you are not gonna mirror it into other touchscreen, which I do hope with some firmware fix they can upgrade it. But that is genuinely weird. It's like we have, and again, it's like you literally copy pasted your own structure into this. So at least do it properly. It's not like, oh, we have experimenting with new global shutter. No, you're not. We are experimenting with this new. No, you're not. You just copy paste it. So at least improve it. So that's why this camera feels very weird. It's like, why? So this was my presentation on Blackmagic's announcement of 2 cameras, one of the PYXIS one. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.